Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the next episode of Coach Uncensored. I have a very special guest here, Mr. Omar Lopez. Omar.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for the invitation.
Yeah, so reason I wanted you to be on the show is I think you're a very interesting person. Not just because you're dressed fancy today, but, make me feel underdressed with my coaching.
Job requirements.
Yeah. So, first time I think I saw you was in a boxing ring. A few years ago at a boxing tournament, Masters Division.
Yes, sir.
It might have been in another state. It may have been in California.
Maybe Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas.
I tend to be there.
I think I saw you fight in Vegas. So I've seen you in the boxing ring. And then you're also a coach for USC. They have a boxing club.
Correct.
And you're also a professor at USC.
I am.
University of Southern California. For those who don't know, which is probably nobody, but
fight on.
Yeah,
just in case.
Yeah. So, where do we start? How'd you get into boxing?
I got into boxing actually a little late. And what I mean by late, I went through school. I went to my bachelor's, master's degree. And I was a social worker in adoptions for the DCFS, but in San Diego, Department of Children, Family and Services, Child Protection. And I was getting burnt out after 1 year. I was like, I hate this job. I don't want to do this anymore, right? And one of my mentors, she was just like, you got to do something else to like relieve the stress, balance yourself out, spend less hours at the office. And I was like, I was reflecting a little bit. And when I was in high school, I would take boxing gloves to the locker room, and we would put them on with like the jocks, like the football players. I used to do track, cross country.
Okay, so you would take boxing gloves to your school.
Yeah, but it was on the ground. We would wait for the coaches to go away, and we would just duke it out.
That sounds pretty sketchy.
Oh, it was bad, dude. It was horrible,
But that's like stuff teenagers do, like backyard fighting.
It was very dumb. Exactly. Yeah, I 100% agree, And so when I shared that with my, my mentor, she was like, okay, well, don't do that again. Go to a gym, Yeah. So I went to a gym.
You don't want to get sued.
Exactly. And it was just kind of like fun back then from a teenager's perspective, right? And we ended up going to a city boxing down in San Diego. So that's where I'm from. Well, I grew up in Lake Elsinore, Riverside County, went to San Diego for college, and I stayed there for some time. I started boxing just to get in shape, essentially. I started seeing a lot of benefits, I started being asked to spar, essentially. So I started sparring.
How old were you when you started that?
24.
24.
So I felt like a grandpa already because I was training with kiddos who were like training, they were 16, 17. And I already felt like I was starting late, I mean, I was fine in the fitness classes. Like there were a lot of people my age. But then they started pulling me aside for the competitive team, and I was training with a lot of younger, kiddos, essentially,
Yeah, at 45 now, it's crazy to say that 24 is old.
I know.
But in boxing, it's, a lot of these pros, they turn pro at 18 or 19, 20 because they had an extensive amateur career and they've been boxing since they were 8 years old. So, yeah, 24 is like 100 and boxing years, but that's funny. I kind of started at the same age too. Boxing.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But did you play any other sports growing up?
Yeah, not now. So I'm from Mexico. I came here when I was 12. So growing up, didn't really play.
What part of Mexico?
Mexico City, Chilango.
Oh, my friend Mario's from Mexico City.
Is that right?
He was a national champ in 2000 or 2001.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Mexican Golden Glove national champ. He's from Mexico City, and from what he tells me, and from what I've seen, there's a very busy city, right?
It is, I was not involved with like boxing, but it's huge. It's a huge city, and there's all kinds of different stuff. And you have to be, I did actually box, but more because I went to like 10 different elementary schools. So I was always a new kid on the block. So I was got picked on, and I realized.
So when you say you were you boxed, does that mean you got in fights?
Yeah, I just fought a lot.
That's funny. My friend Mario from Mexico City said that's all he did too.
Yeah, that's what you have to do. It's like you have to, otherwise they bully you basically.
That's crazy. All right, well, I'm not raising kids in Mexico City.
There you go. Let's scratch that idea. But yeah, but I played sports in high school.
Okay.
I did track, cross country. I played football 1 year, and but that was that's kind of what I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you started boxing at 24, training, going to the gym, and then how did you end up in the ring competing?
Yeah, I just got pulled. One day I was just kind of training essentially, and one of the coaches was like, "Hey, they have a show. You want to get matched up?" Never competed. I'm sparring. You do fine. So, but it was. I don't think it was a sanction. It wasn't sanctioned. I didn't even have a book. This is back in the day. Way back in the day.
So
and it was like a sparring.
What we call
I guess
smokers, right?
it was like a smoker.
Okay.
It was like a smoker because people they paid to get in essentially, but it was like a smoker. That was the first time.
Yeah.
And I got stopped in the second round.
Oh, no way.
It was horrible. And then another coach was like, "What are you doing? That guy has a lot of fights. You never competed." And he was like on his way to it was a bad match essentially.
Well,
right?
it sounds like your coach, whoever convinced you to go, didn't know what he's doing.
He didn't. Well, no, and I learned. And the other guy that told me, "Well, don't do that again, dummy. Get a coach and someone that is gonna guide you through this process properly." So I did that, and then I ended up winning my next 4 bouts after that.
Oh, there you
so
go.
that one didn't count. I got my passport.
So how old were you in this process? Like your first
25, I think, when I was
Oh, wow.
24,
Okay,
25.
so you've been doing it for a while.
And then I got busy, like
Yeah.
I and what I mean is that I kept my job. It was pretty intense still, Then I ended up running for office. I became a president of a union down there essentially. So those two things kind of kept me pretty busy, and so I kept boxing on the background for to work out. But I didn't have the time to be disciplined. As you know, if you want to be safe and compete, essentially, you kind of have to do a lot of training.
Yeah, boxing's like if you do it halfway, you're not as good as the guy who's training full time, and
Bingo.
I mean, you can kind of have it as a hobby, but it's a dangerous hobby.
It's a dangerous hobby, so that's why I decided, okay, I'm done. I did 4 bouts. I'm good, and then I just can't commit. When I do something, I want to do it well, so I just didn't have the time to do that. Then I stopped. My career continued. Then at USC, I got an administrative appointment. I'm currently an assistant dean, but back then I got an appointment as director, and I was getting burnt out, and I was like, oh, let me go back to the boxing. That was what saved me in the past. And then I found out they have a master's division. I'm like, what? They let old people fight? Sign me up.
Yeah.
And I've been fighting since 2019.
That's amazing. Masters division starts at 35 and up.
35.
But you can actually compete in what they call the elite division from 19 to 41.
Correct. And my first master's bout was a 41, so I had no choice but to do masters only essentially. So
Okay.
yeah.
I feel there's probably some young guys you could still beat up. I know there's a few I could beat up.
Don't look at me.
not you. You'll kick my ass. But how many bouts did you have? You had total
35 now.
35.
35.
Yeah, I was thinking somewhere around 40 because I know we talked about it before.
Uh-huh.
How many stoppages have you had? How many people have you knocked out? Or
I don't know, but I want to say probably like 8 maybe.
8?
Yeah, and amateur boxing is not as common, but I think about 8. I think somewhere in there.
And you have won Masters Division tournaments several times, right? You're a Masters Division champion.
I have. It's been a fun ride, essentially, to kind of go through that process. And I think I've had around, 18, 19 belts, from different places.
Damn, that's a lot. You have them. You have a trophy room at home, or do you display them? Nice.
My former wife, she's like, nope, they're not going in here in the house.
Well, that's why that's the former wife.
That is the former wife, indeed. And but so I have them in my my office now, especially now being the head coach at the university. I have some of the display there.
Wow, that's cool. Well, before I got to know you, I knew of you because there was a reputation about you going because you fought Richie.
Richie, yes.
Yeah, well, you fought him twice. You beat him twice. I think you stopped him twice, actually. But, and Richie was telling me, oh, man, this guy's got, he's won so many championships and this and that. He's knocked people out. I'm like, well, good luck. and yeah, I mean, you've got a good style, aggressive but patient. You pick your shots very well. You throw some really good hooks. I've seen you do some good work to the body, and yeah, you break your guy down, and once they're broken down, you like to finish them. So I congratulate you on being such a good boxer, and
Thank you.
You know, getting so many awards and belts. I kind of I coach obviously and own the gym, and so many times I wish I could still compete. And I always think, oh, Omar's still fighting. But then I'm like, what if I got to fight Omar? I don't know about that. I don't want to get my ass kicked,
You know, my system is growing a lot. There's a lot of boxers, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, Manny Fernandez, as you know him. And he has done, I think, a great job over the last 7-8 years, essentially.
Yeah.
And just there's masters boxers everywhere, you know. So it used to be kind of rough when I started. In terms of, like, the same circle.
And there, you'd get different, like, the talent pool was super wide. You'd get somebody that didn't know anything and wanted to box, and then you'd get somebody like you. You know, now I think the gap's a little bit closer and it's more competitive.
It is.
You know, but if I do it, I'm definitely going to look for somebody that's never fought before. I've got a little bit of experience, you know. But yeah, man, that's awesome. Masters division. We used to have a thing called Old Dogs Boxing over here.
Okay.
Well, it was in Orange County, but they ended up moving to Vegas. And I think Manny's over there, right?
He's in LA, but he goes back and forth to Vegas a lot.
Oh yeah, and he does some shows over there. He helped us out with a show over here too. But yeah, I mean, I've seen guys as old as 60, 70 compete.
I think 79 is the oldest that I've seen. You know, yeah, they get in there. In fact, I was helping train a gentleman. He was 77.
Who was that? What's his name? Let's give him some props.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name right now. I'm blanking out. He won too many punches to the head.
Was it a USA boxing official?
No. He's one of Manny's close friends. He actually Rick Avery.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember. I forgot his name. And he's Robert De Niro's double.
Oh.
So he's like a stuntman, you know.
Oh wow.
And then I remember, like, you know, sparring with them about, I don't know, 2-3 years ago. I was taking it light, but not that light. I'm like, shoot, when I'm 77, I want to move like this guy, you know? It's like, yeah, he was getting in there. So I was he asked me to kind of help him train for his fight.
Well, I've seen, have you ever gone to the SoCal State Championship?
Oh, yeah, I go there.
Okay, yeah. So Steve Harriman, who runs that tournament, I saw him fight against, I can't remember who the old other guy was. But when these guys that are above 60, when they like get knocked down, they go down in slow motion.
I was there.
Yeah, it's like first the knee, then the hand, then they lay down. But it's cool to watch. So.
It is. In fact, I went to high school with Steve's daughter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
She's a lawyer.
Yeah, I know.
He's very proud. He reminds me of like, oh, my daughter. She's a lawyer.
She's
every
a lawyer.
time I see him, I know Steve. But yeah, they're great people. I love them. So, yeah, Masters is interesting. You know, when you're watching the older division, older of the Masters, you're just praying like, I hope nobody gets a heart attack.
The officials, I think, yeah, you are right, 100%. And the officials do a good job, you know, in terms of just being overprotected. Plus, we wear 16 ounces, you know.
Okay.
Then the headgear,
a bigger headgear, right?
It's 16 ounce headgear as well. So it has to have an M, so it could be, you know, that is a little heavier. You know, blocks a little bit more of the vision, but it's more protection, I guess, from that perspective.
Yeah, a lot of respect to any of the Masters division because, of course, you don't have to do it. Most of them have a regular job and a family and all that kind of stuff. So they're like, well, I'll get punched in the head and risk injury in this. But, you know, we love boxing. Obviously, you love boxing. And
I do.
We can't get enough of it. It's like, oh, is there boxing on TV? Yes, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Let's watch all of it,
watch
right?
it.
and then we're on at the gym on Monday, you know. And that brings me kind of to the next thing because, like I said, I think you have an interesting life. You also coach.
Yes, sir.
USC boxing program.
I do.
I guess you run that program, and you're the steward of that at the moment, right? You take care of that because I know Ramon Espada, and I believe he started the program. I don't remember what year, but and he did a good job. And they were training out in what was it called, Pico Union?
Pico Union area.
In a container.
Pretty much.
I think it was a container.
It was like a garage type of situation.
It might have been like shipping containers are really popular right now to build houses, but I think it started right there at Pico Union, shipping container gym. Yeah. So I remember I worked out there once. But tell me how that got started and where it's going. And
You got it. No, Ramon, credit to him, because he ran that program for like about a decade. I want to say he started the club not only at USC but also at UCLA. So he kind of like worked with both of them essentially. So it used to backtrack a little bit more. Collegiate boxing was huge, like in the 1950s and 60s, just as big as football. Unfortunately, in 1960, there was a fatality of a boxer from Wisconsin that died in national TV.
This is very specific history. I like this.
Yeah, no, there's a book that was written, a 6-minute fraternity, essentially, that talks about all the collegiate boxing history. Highly recommended, essentially. In fact, I have my students, the ones that make it to the team, I put them to read. They have to read the history, and they have to write a reflective paper on the purpose of boxing, and I use that for coaching. Just a different. My professor and me that gets them to do homework, so NCAA banned it essentially, so it's no longer a scholarship sport since 1960. In 1976, I think the National Collegiate Boxing Association got created, partly with a lot of collaboration from the military academies, Air Force Academy, Navy, Air Force and West Point, but they're under the auspices of USA Boxing. So collegiate boxing has in place, since 1976. I think that's when it got started. And USC started in 2008 or 2009, somewhere around there. After the pandemic, Ramon hit me up. He's like, dude, you box, you coach, and you work at SC.
So how does Ramon know you? How do you guys know each other?
Just in boxing circles. In fact, actually, I think the first time I met Ramon was at one of Manny's camps.
Okay.
No, you know what? I take it back. I met Ramon because when I was getting my doctorate at USC, I joined the club. So that's how I knew. That's he one too many hits to the head.
Yeah.
That's actually the first time I met him. So I was there for like about a year, checking out the club. I didn't get any bouts. I was old, already. And then I kind of saw him subsequently using the boxing circles, essentially.
Yeah.
And then after the pandemic, he like hit me up along with Eli, who was also kind of working with them as the other coach. And they're like, we can continue it, but why don't you take it over, essentially.
Was Eli a fighter, or he was the UCLA guy?
I understand he was a student, he was the president.
Yeah,
and then
he's a big guy, right?
A big guy.
Okay,
yeah. African-American dude.
Yeah.
And then,
That was one of my trainers.
oh, there you go. Yeah.
Elijah Sosa, something like
I think so.
Yeah. One of my guys sparred him one time. Yeah.
Yeah, big guy. So them two, so actually Eli's the one that reached out first.
Oh,
and then
cool.
eventually Ramon, I connected with Ramon and we talked about it. And I was like, all right, let me check it out, essentially. I agreed to kind of help out, and essentially how the clubs work out, they pay the coaches, so they gave me like a stipend. So after 1 year, I was like, man, this kid's in a lot. Right after the pandemic, what I mean by that, there was a lot of, I'm a social worker by training, essentially, and so there was like a lot of suicidal ideation, eating disorders, depression, stuff like that. Just generally speaking, from the student population, and I think
after COVID and all
after
that.
COVID, so
we all hated life for a little bit.
Oh man, it was bad. So I got it at the peak of that,
Yeah.
So I decided essentially to decline payment, and what I do now, I just do it as service to the university, essentially. So as faculty, we get evaluated on 3 things: teaching, scholarship. I get grants, bring money for the university. So I'm good on the first 2. And then I decided to do a lot of my service to the university by just running the program at the university. So providing like good experiences for students,
Well, it doesn't hurt that it's something you have experience and that you love.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah,
So,
if it was something different, you'd
might not be willing to do that.
Might not be as excited to build the program, but I met Ramon a long time ago, maybe around. So I opened the gym in 2009, and he hosted a show somewhere around 2010 or 11 in Venice Beach.
Venice, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
And that was one of the first shows that we competed. It was right there, like, where the Venice Beach Walk is, and it was very cool. And then I started talking to him. He told me he coached USC. He brought some fighters over to spar, and I don't know how much sparring he had done, but he had just kind of started. Vlad Panin was part of the program, I think, with UCLA.
Yep.
And Vlad Panin, a product of the collegiate boxing program, is now I think like 23 or 24-2 with a title.
Yep.
And he's like a top prospect in the world. So yeah, I mean, there's kind of a little bit of a stigma that collegiate boxers aren't as good, but there are quite a few that are top level, that are open class, that have over 20 fights. Where USC is a powerhouse in football and other sports. Where does USC rank amongst the other collegiate, boxing clubs?
Good question. So from what I gather, USC was a little bit kind of like dormant, and what I mean, even during Ramon's days, just because it was a little harder to kind of put things into place, the universities in general are not very supportive of it, because they see it like, you're here to study.
Do they look down on it because they're like
they're
academics, and they're like, well, I have my doctorate, my PhD, and you're a boxer.
It's not, I guess, and maybe hopefully I don't get fired.
Don't get fired. We'll edit it out.
But like equestrian, or like, rugby and other sports get, I think, a little bit more attention, from like the university, but also from prospective donors, that kind of support that. And boxing is not as resource rich, essentially. So it's harder to kind of kick it off, So I share that because, so when I took over, we had 8 students essentially that were kind of part of the club. Got them to train. I took them to regionals. They all lost in the first round. So that
Good job,
tells you,
coach.
yeah. So that kind of tells you where we started. But that was in that year, and then now 4 years later, we've been able to produce 9 individual national champions.
Oh wow!
We had one gentleman who ended up getting the equivalent of the Heisman Trophy, essentially. Jordan King, who kind of came already with some experience. And last year we placed second in our region, which is the highest out of 14 universities. Air Force Academy is a powerhouse.
Yeah.
So far we're behind Air Force. Technically at this point.
So does that doing well in events, being ranked, having national champs, I guess you can't give out scholarships, but does that entice people to come to USC, or to like, I'm going there because they have a boxing program?
It has now. In fact, I have a gentleman now. I mean, partly we can do recruiting. Right, so I think
wink, we can't do recruiting.
I got in some. Actually, people have contacted me, trying to see if somehow boxing helps them to get in, and I've told them that I could give you my faculty perspective and advise you, but you have to get it to USC on your own merit, right?
Yeah.
So and I'm happy to like advise. In fact, even write a little reference if I know somebody, but we can't. So yes, I think right now the fact that we've been doing a little bit better, I've seen a lot of people approach USC wanting to go there for the boxing. In fact, I mentioned we started with 8 students. Right now, like last year, we had 150 something club members essentially, and 37 on the competition team.
Wow.
So we grown exponentially to be able to have more boxers that are ready to compete.
Yeah, nobody remembers the 8 losses anymore after having that many members.
It was
right?
rough. It was a rough first year.
That's great. So how does what does that look like, managing that many members, training them, finding who's good enough to compete, getting those guys ready for competition? I mean, that sounds like a lot of work.
It's a lot of work
that you're not getting paid for.
Yeah, it is. I'm blessed to have a good boxing community here in LA. There are 8 volunteer coaches, essentially, that fit a particular profile. One is the former president of the club, essentially. Now he's a financial advisor at Merrill Lynch. One of the guys that I used to train, he was an executive of Amazon, so he's in the industry, and he now also coaches with me, And the reason I share those profiles is because when they get to be part of the club, I tell them from the very beginning, you're here where you put family first, you put academics second, you put your career readiness third, and you do boxing fourth.
Yeah.
If you don't get these 3 things in place, you're going to be a shitty boxer. So get these things in place so that then you can succeed in the other ones. And use boxing and the transferable skills of boxing to apply them to the other 3, and you're going to succeed. So I get people that abide to that philosophy because I tell them, you're a scholar boxer. And I tell them that you're a scholar boxer, where you're not just a fighter, you're not a boxer. I want you to keep in mind that you're a scholar first. You coming here to USC because either you or your parents are paying a lot of money. You want to get a degree, right? And then you use boxing as a way to kind of exercise wellness, so you could be more well-rounded, essentially, So I have a lot of people that help me because to the original question, managing that many people is insane. And but it's also the competitive team. I develop them as leaders, so they do a lot of the club classes, for example. Like we have training club practices on Tuesdays and Wednesdays with coaches. Thursdays is all students.
And there's how do you manage facilities? Is there a facility on campus where are there punching bags and a ring somewhere in USC?
We have at the USC Village, they have a gym and there's like a bag room, and then so we use that in packet usually. Sometimes we have so many people that we use another exercise room, and then we do the stuff there and we alternate. Or we done stuff in the Great Lawn in the Village because especially at the first week we had like over 100 people show up, so it was like put them on in the lawn and then just practice essentially.
That probably looked like. Have you ever seen like China when they have their program? They're out there and
that's like we have video on their Instagram that shows that.
They're all like doing the same 1-2 at the same time.
Bingo.
And you're just like, damn, man. I mean, I don't know about communism, but their boxing program looks pretty tight. That's cool. Was it difficult to get equipment on campus? Because I've helped out El Camino, and then we talked about setting up a boxing program there, or bringing boxing equipment, and then it's kind of the administration's like, oh, are people punching each other? It's like, what's going on?
A little bit.
Bunch of liabilities.
We're not allowed to spar. Okay. So we're not allowed to spar on campus. It's been allowed to have the bags already, and it's a kind of a cool room because it has the stands and we could move them back and forth. They got chains essentially, so we could kind of accommodate. The room is very flexible to kind of do that. And then if we don't need bags, we put them away essentially, and we use the whole room, But the competitive team, they train at City of Angels Boxing. Which is about a mile away from campus, essentially, even less than a mile away. And that's where we do full sparring, essentially. Okay. So we have club practices on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and then competitive team on Mondays, Fridays, and Sundays. So those are in the competition team. They're training about 6 days a week.
Cool. So when you're looking at competition, or, stepping up in training.
Yep.
You've got different levels. You've got sparring, then you got like in-house sparring, then you got sparring outside of your team, then you got competition. There's this new thing called, and the reason I bring it up because I wanted to learn more about it. I was wondering if you're taking, not advantage, if you're participating in it. It's called Points Boxing Sparring Circuit. Have you seen that?
Seen it.
Where it's no knockouts allowed.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel I don't know, for the gym here, it's not that it's tough or anything, but our main thing is like, we're going straight into competition. But I feel like maybe the points boxing thing is good for the collegiate students. Have you guys done any of that?
We have not, and we cannot. This is why, because
that's why I asked this question.
No, a very good question, because I jumped to the opportunity. I did a competition in one of those events.
Okay.
So I competed, right? But I found out that it's not sanctioned by USA Boxing. And I inquire. In fact, I reached out to headquarters, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to take some of the collegiate boxing. Is that cool? And they're like, nope, because you're risking losing the membership because it's not sanctioned by USA Boxing. So unfortunately, we cannot use them. I know Rafa well, and in fact, I support their events, and I go as a spectator, and I competed in one of them here at the convention center in LA because it's I think
it's interesting, right?
Yeah, and I think it's run pretty well. You know, they are
well,
pretty
Rafa
short.
was supposed to come and be a guest, but he got busy, and I think they just had an event a few days ago, but. I saw they posted something where they said, screw USA Boxing. Like, they don't have a monopoly on the sport. We could do whatever we want. And it's kind of I don't know what the word is, but they basically said that USA Boxing cannot enforce their ban on a USA Boxing member for participating in the points boxing sparring. Okay. Which may be true, may not be true. I don't know. It probably has to get tested in court at some point, and
once I find out that I'll do it, I'm not gonna test it.
But you won't put your students in that.
I'm not gonna put them through that.
Yeah, because I'm just wondering, because if if anything's got to get done by the book, or if anything has like a limitation, you can't just be so free. It would probably be a collegiate boxing program. You probably have a lot of guardrails, for the students, keeping them safe.
We do.
What events to do, stuff like that.
We do. And right now, in fact, right now, all the competition that they participate is against other colleges. So I don't match them up with any amateur boxers, unless someone like Jordan King, who actually has some experience already, then he kind of does his own thing, I have another gentleman that just started with us, Gabriel Ponce, who came with some experience already. His dad was a former fighter, boxer, kickboxing, I think. He's like a boxing promoter as well. Jose Ponce, he's out of Missouri.
Okay.
So he came specifically because he heard good things about what we're doing, essentially. And he decided to come to USC to kind of just expand his, collegiate, his boxing through collegiate boxing.
Well, if we ever have any students here that are smart enough to get into USC,
send them my way.
I'll send them your way.
All right, sounds
good. But it's funny, it's got to be nice to coach at USC and have those types of students who are motivated, and they're like, I don't know, they're task oriented. You give them a task, they do it. You give them homework, they do it. And how you were mentioning earlier, you got to have all your ducks in a row to be a good boxer. And the other day we had some fights here, and I was noticing the smarter fighters won. Not the dumb ones lost. And I don't want to call anybody dumb, but when you're in the ring, you have to adapt, improvise, and it's not just brutality and just beating the crap out of somebody. You have to outthink somebody, outsmart them. You have to think. If you can think one step ahead, that's great. If you can think 2-3 steps ahead, even better. But it just, not that I haven't known it, but it was more of it was so clear to me how an intelligent boxer can really do great in the sport,
I agree, you
gotta have some really smart kids over there, right?
We do. The challenge with us is really for them to find the time to train. These kids, like especially at the undergraduate level, they overcommit, and that's why they got into USC because they do a bunch of stuff. They're writing for the Daily Trojan, they're starting their own companies. They're doing this, they're doing that. So it's like sometimes how they carve up enough time, so they pick it up quickly. But sometimes they don't have the time to hit the gym enough to actually get the skills.
But it's got to be USC. It's got to be a highly competitive environment for the students. They're all competing for top grade, top rank in their class, and then I'm sure that competitiveness spills over into your boxing.
It does.
So that would make sense why you guys are doing so well.
Yeah, I could think of a gentleman. His name is Justin. And he was one of those that got busy, but he planned it ahead. Where he did a lot of like coursework development, and then his senior year, he went all in essentially, and then won his tournament bracket at UCIBA. There's the other conference basically that's collegiate boxing, and then at a 156 class he was an underdog pretty much in every fight, and he won it all because he just went in and dedicated. And I'm like, man, go home. I see you at the gym like 24/7, and but that's what it makes a difference, So they plan, and and boxing was not like a natural for him. He was a decent athlete, but he just committed the time, was very smart, very strategic, got OCD about his strategy and how to do everything, and succeeded.
Wow. That's very cool. Yeah, I mean, you got to be all in if you want to get good results.
That's right.
Like I said, it's a dangerous hobby. You don't want to do it as like part-time.
Nope.
Just hit the bag if you're going to do it part-time. But so what is the pinnacle of collegiate boxing competition? What's the Super Bowl for you guys? What's like the national tournament, the big one?
Yeah, so there's two. The military academies started, along with other universities, including USC. We have the National Collegiate Boxing Association. So regionals is coming up in mid-March. And like there are about 14 schools in the West, right, that will compete against. It's like UCLA, Oregon, University of Washington, and so on. So from there, those that qualify, they'll qualify for nationals in Charlotte. So that's in April. So that's the pinnacle. That's where we really, all of us are striving basically to get a championship. Every university can only send one representative per weight class, essentially. So sometimes, like people at the Air Force Academy, they have their own tournaments, just to see who's gonna like be the representative, essentially, because they're huge and they have the resources, their government. I think the other academies do the same. There's about 40 universities in NCBA. And in 2009, I want to say, the United States Intercollegiate Boxing Association got created, partly without the military academies. There's another 40 universities that are part of that. And they have their national conference in Vegas, actually, in March. As with USC, we compete in both. We can win team championships at UCBA, but I send a lot of my boxers to UCBA. The lower, those that are just that are greener, and I send my top boxers to NCBA.
All right, thinking of a question here.
And let me just put a plug, as you kind of mentioned that. So we have this big show, coming up on February 21st. Is going to be on campus. Is at the Iliad in LA. You're doing amazing work helping us out with the t-shirt design. Oh. Well, you showed me some good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what. Medals are getting worked on.
Perfect.
The special award is getting worked on. That's already on its way. And t-shirts are going to get taken care of pretty soon.
Yeah. And one
I'll
of the
talk pricing with you.
Yeah, that's right. No, do it in public. I can put pressure.
Well, it's not live, so we can edit it.
Oh, that's right. I'll do it. In fact, actually, you were a big reason why we're having the show.
Because we hosted you guys. USC, was it a USC UCLA thing, or it was just USC hosting?
It was event? A USC hosting the event, but we had a UCLA.
Yeah, right here at Sweet Science.
Yeah, we had Sweet Science, and it was a resounding success. A lot of with your help. It was my first show putting it together.
Yeah.
You and your wife, you just did an amazing job of guiding me through that mess. And it was successful, So we had Air Force Academy, Michigan, Washington, Berkeley, UCLA. And we had a good show at Camino College.
Yeah. Your guy who won the Boxer of the Year, the Heisman equivalent, he beat our guy.
Yeah.
you keep beating my guys. No. But it was a great show. I was really happy to see all the students how much they love boxing, and because we're lifers in the sport, and we try to grow the sport and bring people into it, and it's always nice to see new people get excited about it. But I was really impressed with when I saw Air Force walk in here, and those guys they're in the military, and I think Air Force catches a lot of shit from the other branches of the military. They call it the chair force and all that stuff, but I don't know, the guys that came in, they looked like they kicked some butt. They all walked in, single file line. They all stood up straight. They were all in good shape, and I think they almost all won their fights too.
Yeah,
they did great. So.
No, they're a powerhouse. That's why they're a powerhouse. And in fact, I think they are the powerhouse in boxing as well. Really? I think they have won more national championships than the other two.
Wow, that's impressive. I know that kind of off topic. The Army has a program. So if anybody in your program, in your club, when they're done with college or university, when they're done, they can join the Army. If they're a good enough boxer, they can become a full-time boxer in the Army. It's called the exceptional athlete program or something like that. Yeah, but they if you're good enough to get on their team, if you're ranked in the top 10 for USA Boxing and you join the Army, they will make you a full-time boxer. They'll pay for every tournament. They'll pay you while you're in the Army. All you do is train. All you do is go to tournaments. Yeah. And they actually got one. I think they got one, maybe two in the last Olympics from their program.
Huh.
Yeah, so that's kind of their goal. But I try to get, it's like what's the next level, So I try to steer some people that way. Like, okay, you don't have a job. You're a really good boxer. You're not gonna win a world title. You should join the Army and try to make their team.
Yep.
So, but anyways, Ramon. When I knew Ramon, and he was running the USC program, he would do some shows at there's a club in downtown LA.
Athletic Club.
Yeah. Super cool. Had a really old school vibe. I'm sure that building's been around for a long time. And he had the hosted the collegiate fights there. There's a really cool bar library. After the fights, you can go and drink and smoke.
Yep,
right?
Yep.
But So yeah, you're having your next event. It's called the Iliad, right?
Iliad in LA. Yep.
Okay, Iliad in LA, and the Iliad is the story of like the Trojan War,
It's a
right?
Greek story, Trojan War. The Trojans lose, so we're
Oh,
trying to
man.
change. We're trying to change that narrative, but it's a cool classic story.
Yeah. So
Yes.
tell me more about it, because I know Ramon did his show at the athletic club, and you hosted a show here at our gym, and now on top of the many things you do, now you're going to be hosting probably annually or a few times a year USC boxing show.
We are, in fact, yeah. So we're doing it, and it took a little while. So we have now. It's actually going to be a pretty historic event, and I say that because USC has never had a collegiate boxing event on campus. So this one in February is going to be the first one. Prior to that, we tried to do at Athletic Club to kind of follow Ramon's footsteps, essentially, but just things didn't line up properly for us to be able to do that. In fact, a lot of collegiate boxing programs do it at athletic clubs. In fact, I'm heading tomorrow to Seattle because we at the athletic club there's another pretty premier event that is black tie event type of thing, and then we have like 70 universities coming to it. So it'll be all throughout the country for over 2 days. People are going to have that event there. So that's why Ramon, I think, got the idea because of that that type of show. And then unfortunately we can't do it in here in LA, but the second best option was basically do it on campus. We're doing through a lot of red tape, essentially. I think now we got the approval and we're set to go, essentially. Not only for this year in February, but we're planting the seed to do it again in November, right before the football game. Also on campus. The USC.
I was going to
UCLA
say, what football game?
Yeah, USC
There-
UCLA football game.
Yeah, that's the crosstown rivalry.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine how intense the fights would be between USC and UCLA the week of a football game.
That's the plan, to bank on that.
Yeah.
And to make it a good experience for everybody.
Well, yeah, that's definitely a good opportunity. Would that be? I mean, that should be in like the middle of the football field.
Right.
Or
Now you're
at
talking.
the end zone. Just put it at the end zone right there, or halftime.
Now you're getting with
Bring
ideas.
Build a ring real quick at halftime, and that's cool. That's cool. Where's the one in Washington? You said,
At the athletic club in Seattle.
and that's what University of Washington.
Yeah.
That's the Huskies, right?
As the Huskies.
I've seen them at the collegiate shows I've gone to. They always roll deep. They have a pretty big squad.
I think they're the largest, actually.
Oh, really?
They're the largest.
Well, that makes sense.
They're the largest. I mean, we grew up to be the fourth largest, just according to USA Boxing memberships, essentially.
Okay.
But I think they had like 81. I think people with
Sign-ups that
like
are
with
registered
passports.
USA Box.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like
Wow.
we had like 60 something. They had like 80 something.
Okay.
People with the passport. So impressive.
Yeah. So then, let's talk about your actual profession,
Okay.
right? You boxed, you run the program, but you actually work at USC
I do.
also.
Mm-hmm.
Not volunteer. You get a paycheck.
I know that one I get paid.
Yeah,
you gotta
you
pay
get
the
paid.
bills. That's the one.
So what exactly do you do there?
So I'm a social worker by training, essentially, and after grad school, I mentioned I was working in child protection. I did that for the county of San Diego for 8 years, and I did an array of jobs that kind of set me up for academia. I was doing adoptions, investigations. I was international liaison for the county, essentially facilitating communication with other countries about child protection matters, essentially, that impacted the county. And then after 8 years, this is during one of the housing boom, essentially, or recession, I should say. San Diego State, the county eliminated a position where San Diego State needed a county employee to run an internship program. I had done that in the past. I got recruited for that position, so that's how I went into academia, by being a professor at my alma mater at San Diego State. After 1 year, a USC opened up an academic center in San Diego, knocked on my door as well, and I was like, okay, I could work for USC. In terms of that, it was a good opportunity. So a lot of what I do, basically, I work I teach social work to students not just for child protection, across the board. People that work with individuals, with groups, with communities, organizations, and so on. What I used to teach, like leadership. Essentially, I used to teach like immigration. I was telling, remind me your name? Adrian, that I created a course around immigration, and that's partly because of my background. I came here as an immigrant when I was 12, essentially. So I grew up in Lake Elsinore. I had a rough upbringing, essentially. I was gang affiliated. Got lucky, went to college, essentially, and then kind of set me in a pathway.
Is there gangs in Lake Elsinore?
Ghetto ones, but yes.
That's on Grand, right? On the other side. That's on the west side of the lake, right?
Yeah, kind of around Four Corners area,
Okay.
So anyway, so there were some gangs there, essentially. And, me being just a kid, I was just hanging out with the people that spoke Spanish. I didn't speak a word of English, and they got in fights, and I was backing up my friends, but you get involved, essentially. Got lucky, and in one of my classes in undergrad about the educational system of the United States, it was a sociology class. It was an aha moment where, like, I realized a lot of people that looked like me, had similar experiences, were not privileged or lucky enough to be sitting in the classroom, So I decided at that point that I needed to do something to give back. And social work just lined it up with that as a profession, where
I feel like when people hear the word social work, they have no idea what it is. But it can be very broad, though, right?
It's very broad, especially at a place like a USC. It's anywhere from being like your typical child protection social worker that everybody thinks about, or someone that does the food stamps and does all that stuff, to Medi-Cal, all that, right? To you could be a therapist. You have your license, essentially, be a psychotherapist, if for lack of a better word. You could also work in organizations and human resources. You could be a community organizer. In fact, that was something else I did at the county. When I got to the county, there were a lot of things that I think they were just wrong about, like what we were doing with families. And as a 24-year-old, they're like, "What the hell is this mocoso?" They're gonna listen to him, right? So I got involved with the union because I saw it as another mechanism to get involved, and I realized that they were just as dysfunctional in terms of administration stuff. So I decided to stick with it, and then eventually, ran for office, got elected, with ACIU, Services Employee International Union, and I had the opportunity to do advocacy on behalf of the employees, essentially, to provide better services. Sounds very idealistic. I think I moved the needle like this much, essentially, but it was, that's what social workers do.
Yeah.
Kind of help society, people in general.
Well, that's good. I mean, people when they get involved, all these ideas come up like, oh, they're not doing it right, or I can fix this, I can fix that. And then once you get in there and you go and do the work, there could be a lot of things like holding you back, and then you realize, oh, that's why this hasn't been done,
Well, brother, that was me, because that's what I learned. I'm like, oh, God, this is not right, and then I get it, and then I was
government,
and I was in a dual relationship, because of what I mean by that is that I also went the administrative route, so I was like a policy analyst in administration, but I was also a union president, so it was just that kind of interesting, to kind of have the dynamic, but it gave me a good perspective, and experience that is invaluable to my ability to be a faculty member now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it seems like all that experience helps with keeping the boxing program organized and running good. And
it does. A lot of it is also, my social work skills. I remember at a contract negotiation meeting, my union brothers and sisters are like asking me, why are you getting management to like be agreeable? Like, what are you doing? And for those of you that are social workers, I was just using motivational interviewing. It's just a very simple technique where you can do a lot of affirmations. It's you roll with resistance, and you're more empathetic in terms of listening. Basically, there's like a 3-to-1 ratio in terms of what you do. And those minor strategies, they're for like clinicians. I was applying it in a macro setting, negotiating a contract, and it makes a difference. So I use a lot of motivational interviewing and other stuff in my coaching, essentially, to kind of get the kids motivated, find the intrinsic motivation to succeed.
Well, like I said, the smarter people make better boxers, and that's why you're beating everybody up. So a few years ago, and maybe you can pick up where I left off, but a few years ago I had this really awesome idea, and it was before anybody else had the idea. So I'm going to take credit for it. I had the idea to put different logos on boxing gloves.
Okay.
Like sports teams, Dodgers, Raiders, Lakers, USC, and then military, like Army, Navy, Marine Corps. So I made all these boxing gloves.
Yeah.
And I actually got licensed by several entities. I got licensed by Army, licensed by Navy, Marine Corps, and USC.
Oh, sweet.
And it was actually the licensing of the equipment was the easy part. Getting distribution of the products with their logos on it was difficult, especially for the military. They have these things called barracks exchanges, and there's a whole line of administrators that you have to get through. A purchasing manager, then this, then that, before you get in there, right?
Gotcha.
But USC was actually I think the only one that I got into their bookstore.
Okay.
And sold. So for a short period of time,
nice.
I had officially licensed USC boxing gloves and hand wraps sold at the USC bookstore.
Interesting.
Yeah.
When was this?
It was like 10 years ago.
I see. Okay.
And I fulfilled one order. I think it was like 100 pairs of gloves. Sold out. I got my check from USC, and I said, you know what? It's too much work. I quit. I said, I'm going to go. I tried to, as a side hustle.
Yeah.
But I'll send you the picture for that too. But it was a good experience. But so and I even reached out to Disney right when they purchased Marvel and said, hey, I want to make Marvel boxing gloves. And they were like, I told them I already got USC. I got this, I got that. And they said, nah, we're not interested. 2 years later, Hayabusa and Marvel come out with their stuff. And I'm like, dude, I just gave them that idea. I was like, damn. But they were like, yeah, we're not interested. I sent them a big proposal, samples. Yeah, but like El Camino, I make hand wraps for them, and they sell in their bookstore. But they just got bought out by Barnes & Noble, their bookstore. But it's one way that they use to raise some funds for the boxing club. This is where I'm getting to. So, but I still have the screens, so we can put USC logos on boxing gloves.
Well, good to know.
And if you ever want, just let me know.
I appreciate it. And we do. And in fact, that's what we're doing the T-shirts. And you're helping us out with that essentially. And so how it runs essentially, like, it's a club. So like all the finances, all the administrative stuff, the students have to do it. You know what I mean? So like I facilitate introductions, and I can't even oversee the budget because USC is very strict with that, and I understand it because I'm a faculty advisor for other student groups essentially, where we advise the students essentially what to do. But all those ideas that you're mentioning, I'm making all kinds of introductions. In fact, I think Ringside is going to be helping us out as well with some stuff, nice. And it's setting up in like a wholesale account. But I know that the hand wraps is how we were doing some race funding as well.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got 100 and however many members, they all need to get hand wraps.
They do.
I get those for like $1.50.
Oh, all right.
And then I sell them for $11.
Okay. Parker.
So there you go.
He's the president.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm talking to him.
Boxing gloves, might cost somewhere around $25, $30 for some nice leather gloves.
Okay.
$100, $90.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can raise money. But I was gonna ask. So when the team travels, all the money has to come from a fund that's like collected by the club.
Yeah. So how that works, so we when we started, I think we were tier 4, meaning that USC provides some money. So that's kind of nice. They give us some seed money essentially, depending on the tier. And you have to qualify for, like, we're tier 1 now because we won national championships. We have to do service community work, it's like service activities, and we have to have a specific number of members. So we're pretty popular. I think we're we're one of the largest in the school, in the university, in terms of like club participation.
Oh, wow.
So we've done pretty well meeting all that. So we get correspondingly more money, but also the students pay. So they pay everybody that wants to be a member. They have to pay $125. So that gives us a good chunk of money, to travel. This past semester, we went to Michigan. We went to Sacramento. We went to, a bunch of different places. We've been able to New York.
Where in Michigan did you guys compete at?
Actually, I take it back. We went to Ohio.
Oh, okay.
It was by the University of Michigan, but we went to Michigan, to Ohio. Can't remember the name. Not Finley. I can't remember, but it was in Ohio.
Okay.
So
Was it in Columbus?
not at Columbus.
Columbus
Not-
is a nice city. I like Columbus.
Yeah,
That's where
no.
Ohio State is at.
Okay. And
Very
in fact, I have
nice.
another group that is going to Michigan in February 6th. So I have a couple kids that are going there. We had one guy go to New York last year. So
So I got an idea. So you said you guys are tier 1, meaning it's like one of the most popular clubs, has the most members. What's right behind you guys? What's another popular club at USC?
I don't know. I think hockey is pretty large.
Oh,
Yeah, I think hockey.
perfect. So
Okay.
that actually is I thought you were gonna say chess club or like the gardening club, because I was gonna say the next event you should do is like club versus club.
Okay.
But like the boxing club versus the hockey club
Okay.
would actually make some good fights.
that would
You know?
be, right?
And you
think
might
about-
actually want to approach the hockey club, because those guys, I think they're allowed to fight.
I think
in
they're allowed
hockey.
to. That's right. That's right.
They encourage it. Like the referees stand back and say, "Hey, they got to fight."
We got to learn how to skate now.
Yeah. Well, there you go. I think that's that's your next one. Yeah, you've talked a lot about your background, running the club, your professional career. What's your vision for USC boxing program? I can't imagine you're gonna. Maybe you want to run it for a long time, but what's your long term goals with it? Do you have any visions for it? Where do you see it going?
Yeah, good question. I don't want to run it forever. There's a lot of work, but I do like to leave something behind that is kind of sustainable, right? Been having some ideas, having an endowment, essentially. In fact, Caesar, who's works for Merrill Lynch, knows how to set all that stuff up, So one of the goals would be to just have an endowed club where.
What does that mean?
So that means that you get like a big donor, and then
Okay.
you kind of operate with the interest,
Okay.
from that. And that would allow essentially for students, to love the sport, to be part of it, and maybe even like get better coaching that is more committed. I'm committed, but it's volunteer. I got two
Yeah.
kids, I got a full time job. The other guys are also and girls have full time gigs.
Well, if it
essentially.
receives an endowment, would that be able to pay a
think so.
full time coach?
Maybe, I don't know about like a full-time
Well,
coach,
full-time,
like a
but-
full job, but like
yeah.
a stipend for
Yeah.
like somebody that wants to do as an extra gig, possibly yes.
Yeah.
So I could see that being that I would like to see that, like a 10-year plan, where we keep building. Before anybody will be interested in donating any money, we would need to have something to back it off. Not only in terms of like competition, but really my focus is on the student development. Is that if you ever read this book, now I'll text you the title.
Please.
It talks about like how collegiate boxing has really created a lot of our leaders in this country. A lot of folks who have been like senators, politicians, CEOs, essentially, and they created boxing when they were doing it in college.
Okay, I have
basically.
to read that book now, because when you came in, I was on the phone with LegalZoom, but I'm setting up the nonprofit.
Right.
And part of I guess they asked, what's your purpose of the nonprofit? And that's the main thing. Being a coach for as long as I've been, what I see is, you make good boxers, but eventually they have to go out into society, grow up, be adults, and be responsible members. But really, we build good leaders,
That's
right?
the plan.
Because, boxers, they jump in the ring. I know every boxer gets nervous, but once the bell rings, that all goes out the window. You have a big crowd watching you. You're not afraid to, put it out there and try and achieve. So, I want to read that book.
From that point, a lot of what I do as well that I didn't share earlier. So I I manage a team. I get money for the university. So I brought in about 50 million. Well, not me. The team that I work with we brought in about $50 million to fund different initiatives. I went to grad school because I was a recipient of a stipend program that paid for my grad school. And at one point, I've been on my own since I was 16. I used to live out of my car, so I had no resources. And that stipend program allowed me to get to places, you know. So a lot of what I do at USC, I get grants to give stipends and scholarships to people like me, So that's what drives me essentially, And so I share that because if you're thinking of a nonprofit, like you need the literature, like in this case, this book that it was done by a professor to show the evidence.
To reinforce
kind of what you're asking for.
Yeah, because I spoke with the president of USA Boxing about 2 years ago, and I was telling him my idea, and he says, "Oh, I've got mountains of research and evidence of how boxing." Yep. Helps reduce crime, actually lowers the cost of imprisonment or what the cities are spending on jailing people. I mean, there's a lot of benefits. And you kind of said it earlier, but you didn't say it specifically, but boxing saves lives, right?
It does.
I mean, it
Save
gives
mine,
you it gives you direction. Yep. It makes you feel good about yourself. So myself, after 17 years of owning the gym, what do I want to do in the future? Kind of the same thing. I want to leave the gym in good hands. I don't necessarily want to have it be a for-profit place, but if I can turn it into a nonprofit and there's enough funding for it, and the doors are open for more people.
Yeah,
I don't necessarily want to let just anybody come in, but I would love to be able to pick a group of people that can afford it and say, you know what, they could use the boxing experience to help them.
Yeah.
And but I'm also gonna run for USA Boxing president for our LBC at some point.
Oh, all right.
At some point, there's the guy that's been there, Joe Zanders. I'd like to have him as a guest, and he's been the president for I don't know a long time, and he's a very respectful guy. I don't know when the election's up. I think it's every 4 years. I don't want to step on his toes and be like, hey, I'm going to run against you, because he's kind of been a mentor.
Yeah.
But at some point when he going to step down, then I'd like to take that position.
Gotcha.
And I'm going to reach out to you because I think the things that you've accomplished, the things that you're not just resourceful, smart, but you're gaining some. I don't know what the word is, you're becoming a powerful player in your in your circle. And then in boxing, this is what we need, these type of people that can make things happen.
Okay.
So I'm going to call on you.
All right. Thank you. And let me give you the $20 so you can say nice things about me.
like the God, you ever seen the Godfather movie?
Yeah.
Which is one of my favorite movies. That he's like, one day I'm going to ask you for a favor and you're not going to be able to refuse, but something like that. But I really think that, people like you and me can really uplift the boxing. Not that it needs uplifting, but take good care of it.
Sure.
Keep it moving forward to the next generation, bring more people into the sport that we love, so yeah, I'm really glad that you came to
Thank
talk.
you for the invitation.
Yeah. Well, one more time, Omar Lopez, you have USC, what's it called? Iliad in LA?
Iliad in LA, February 21st.
Where's it going to be?
On campus at the Lion Center, essentially.
The Lion Center?
Lion Center, right in the middle. Is we got the whole floor, second floor, all the basketball courts. So it's going to be a pretty nice.
Is it open to the public?
It's open to the public, essentially. In fact, ticket sales go live today. So just follow the Instagram for the club, Trojan Boxing, and Instagram. And then we'll have the show open the doors at 11. Competition from 12 to 3:30.
How many bouts are you having?
We got 13 bouts.
13 bouts.
13 bouts lined up. Yes.
USC, UCLA, Army, Navy.
So we have Michigan is coming, making the trip. Essentially, we have University of Washington. We have UCLA, UC Riverside, El Camino College got a bout essentially. So Rachel will be there, Coach Rachel, and Stanford. and I'm forgetting another one. Santa Clara University.
Okay. What's the capacity at the event center?
We are expecting about 300 plus people in the audience.
300 plus?
Uh-huh.
Let's make it 3,000.
Let's make it 3,000. I think there's a limit of about 1,000,
Okay,
But,
well, it's all right.
I guess that'll be a good problem to have if more
Yeah.
people show up. So, yes.
All right. February 21st.
February 21st.
Iliad in LA.
That's it.
USC.
USC.
What do you guys say?
Fight on.
Fight on.
Fight on.
All right.
Fight
Thank
on.
you, Omar.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. You're having your
Orale.
Hey.
Coach Uncensored. man.
cool.
Just throw some tequila. They think with their coffee.
You saben. Got the good stuff. And I even some chips.
Yeah.